Welcome to AudioPath, where we take a real look at making a living in music.
Ever wonder what it's like to make a living in music outside of the big industry hubs? We're here to pull back the curtain with raw, unfiltered conversations about the ups, downs, and everything in between.
Join us, John Kimbrough,
And Trent Harrison,
as we share real-world insights, experiences, and stories from behind the scenes in the music industry. Whether you're an artist, audio nerd, or you just love music, we've got something for you.
this is AudioPath, where the hustle is real and the passion runs deep.
Okay, everybody, welcome back to Part 2.
Part two.
We're doing another episode of the AudioPath podcast here. I'm John. This is Trent. If you're just hopping in, welcome. We're glad that you're here. And we have been having a great time talking about all kinds of things related to music, related to audio, just this audio journey that we are all on. If you're listening, you're probably on yourself at some point. So thank you for joining us. Last time, we talked about the process of creating your music.
Yeah,
And we decided this should really be a two-part thing.
right.
Where we are not just talking about going through and recording and mixing and mastering and everything that entails, but then getting to the point where, okay, you've got your finished product. There's still more work to do.
Yes,
You still need to release your song.
right.
And that's what we're covering today.
Yeah.
So, Trent, why don't you take us into a little bit of what this looks like?
Totally.
We've got our mastered track.
Yeah.
We're ready for release.
Right.
Where do we go? What do we do?
Yeah, this is an interesting part of the process, and I'm glad we did this in two parts because there's a lot to talk about what to do with your music once it's done, because it doesn't stop there, right? I mean,
Not at all.
unless you're just doing this as a hobby and you're just sending it to your friends and family, which, I work with a lot of people that do that and they have a great time with it. But if you're trying to, either start a career in music or get out and play some gigs, and you're trying to make a go of it, like a legitimate career, or maybe even if it's just like a side job for you but you're taking it pretty seriously, then there's a whole nother realm that you're about to step into, and that's how to get your music out there for other people to listen to, which is ultimately the sum of the goal, right? You want people to listen to your music. You've spent a lot of time on it. You've probably spent a good bit of money on it. You've invested your passion, your soul into the songs, and you're proud of it. You've got that recording, like you just said. Now, what do you do with it? Okay, so there's a lot of avenues and a lot of directions to go to in 2025 and in the modern day. But I think before we get there, I want to take just a tiny little portion and look back in history and talk about what it was like and how it's gotten to where it is now.
Yes.
Because I think if you know some of that, you'll learn a lot, and it'll inform you on a better strategy of what to do in this day and age, seeing how it got there. So if we roll it back to the early recording days in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they were recording to tape, and everything was analog, and then they were printing on vinyl, right? And then you got your 78s and your various different sizes, and there's the 8-track phase and stuff like that too, right? So that was the medium that they were going to, and so. It is that way now, but it's also a lot more and a lot different, right?
Yeah.
So back then, you didn't, there was no online distribution. There was no streaming.
Because there was no online.
There was no online. That's right. So you made your actual vinyls, and then you sent them off to radio stations so that they would play them, hope that they would play them on the air, and that's how you got your music out there. Now, that is a very oversimplification and way easier said than done. It was not that simple. A lot of the times, if you were, nobody or, unknown artist, they would just throw that in the trash, right?
Wouldn't get a listen, straight to the garbage.
Probably wouldn't get a listen unless you had some sort of like compelling message or a really awesome art or name that the disc jockey was like, I might want to see what that's about. And they throw it on.
Who is this Fleetwood Mac?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So stuff like that. And then maybe you would catch some fire that way. But a lot of the times it was you either had to, you grinded it out live until someone heard you. Then you got some support and some backing. And then they advocated you towards the radio stations and the people would trust the A&R reps, right?
Yep.
Okay. So the medium was vinyl at that, in those days. And then we eventually moved to CDs, right? I don't think I'm missing anything in between. Cassettes, yeah.
8 tracks, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
But,
8 tracks and cassettes, yes.
But yeah, it's all kind of similar in there as far as the distribution side goes.
Exactly. Yeah. And so you had those made, and then you were trying to distribute those yourself, I guess, or there was record labels were way more prominent as far as like, does it make sense? We'll probably have a whole episode on should you worry about trying to seek after label representation in this day and age, or should you just remain indie and do it on your own, which in most cases is probably the move.
Yeah, we'll talk a lot about that in a later episode.
We'll get to that but we're going to talk more about the 2025 distribution in lieu of that. So anyway, cassettes, CDs were around for a good long while and are still prevalent today, but they're dying out, I would say. Mm-hmm. And before we talk about like how to get your music out there and what channels to take, let's take a brief moment and like talk about CDs and mediums and like, is it worth it?
That's a good question.
Because I get that question a lot in the studio after we're having our like rap meeting at the end of an album, and I'm giving them the information. Sometimes it's copyright information. It's whatever they need to like, take it to the final stage that they're basically on their own at that point, and I'll help them promote as much as I can, but they're going to have to distribute it. And they ask about CDs. They're like, is it worth it in this day to make CDs? Like, do people even listen to CDs anymore? And man, that's a tough question. Like, I lean towards no. I lean towards it's not worth, because they're not cheap. Like, you gotta to get copies pressed, like it's gonna cost you something. And so I lean towards no, but there's a caveat. I say yes in some scenarios, and maybe it's really more of like a happy medium of yes, but only a small amount. So I say, like, if you're out there gigging and someone wants your music and they've seen you for the first time and they're like, wow, this band is killer, I got to get a copy of these songs. And whatever age they are, maybe they're older and CD is their main thing, or maybe they just like listening to CD and they want a CD and you don't have it, then the chances of them leaving the show, going home and looking you up and finding your music on Spotify or Apple Music afterwards is slim.
Yeah.
You got to be able to capitalize in that moment. Like, you may have built a fan, but if they had your music, they could be, a super fan.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That would come back, they would listen to your music in between your shows, and they would start to learn your songs.
Yeah.
Right? So that's why I say, like, get a run of like 100 CDs just to have at the shows.
Right.
And that way, if someone asks, you can sell them a CD. Or gosh, I mean, I know a lot of bands, speaking from like Ted's, the venue that we run, that just give them away. They're like, if you have a way to play this, just take it.
Yep.
If not, it's got a cool art on it, or it can be a good coaster.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
The way I think about it, I think
think?
you're totally right.
Okay.
I agree. the music industry has changed so much, and we'll continue talking about that in a moment. But while we're talking about CDs are no longer your primary form of distribution.
Right.
That's changed in the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years even,
Yeah.
to the point where CDs are simply merch now. You got to think of it like a T-shirt.
Yeah.
There's a posterity side of it. What's funny is that if people, what I'm seeing a lot of the time at shows is that if people press vinyl, that sells hotter than a CD.
Yes.
Because there's more of a posterity factor there, and it feels like more of a keepsake.
Yep.
Because it's a better form of merch for a lot of people.
Agreed.
Something to think about. We also should definitely talk about mastering for vinyl because it's different. We'll get there.
Yes.
But anyway, I agree with you. I think do 100 of them if you really feel like you need them.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time I would say you need them is if you have other merch.
Yeah. If that's the only thing you got, then you're probably gonna be hanging on to them things for a while.
Yeah, those are gonna be up in the attic.
Yeah,
for a hot second.
And don't expect to make your money back on those quickly.
Right.
That's that falls into a long-term investment category, I would say.
Right.
I mean, because there's just not that many people that to be honest, I don't have a CD player in my car.
Yeah.
Anymore, and I mean, running the studio, my computer doesn't have a disk drive.
Right.
So I can't even burn a CD of the
to.
music that I've created if I wanted to. Yep.
Oh yeah, dude.
So it's definitely, that's a good sign. Like I remember when that day came when I switched from the old Mac to the trash can Mac, the round cylinder black or carbon fiber looking one.
Yeah.
And it didn't have a disk drive. I was like, well, this is a sign.
Yes.
And that was back in 2018.
That was a while ago.
Yeah. And those things came out even earlier than that, I think. So it's moving in that direction. But like I said, there's still people that like to listen to them. I mean, they sound great. Like the CD was a great invention.
Yes.
So, maybe get a little bit. But the vinyl thing, like, there's a resurgence.
There's
of that.
totally.
Like,
totally.
When we go to shows, me and my wife, we look for their vinyl. Like, we want to buy that, and we spin it at the house and listen to it because it has its own unique sound, and whether people are buying it for that reason or because, it's nice, it comes with some great artwork. It usually has all the lyrics in it. It has some nice photos. Like, it's more of a, a merchy type of package thing, than a CD or anything else. Whichever reason you're doing it, like, they're coming back.
They're coming back. Yeah. Which is cool.
Yeah.
I'm a vinyl guy. I have a lot of vinyl. Vinyl for me is an experience, a listening experience where, as somebody who does music like all day, every day, and has highly trained ears just like yourself, I put vinyl on when I don't want to care about any of that.
Yeah.
I put it on when I just want to get lost in the music and enjoy the experience of it.
Just listening.
Typically put on some headphones with it and just get lost.
Yeah.
And
that's nice.
That's what I love about it.
That's right.
Personally, because there's no expectations with vinyl.
No, exactly. You're going to have a little bit of noise in there, and that's the way it is, and that's fine.
Yeah.
People prefer it. People like it.
Yeah.
And so, so to that end, though, like with the run of CDs, like maybe just 100 or so, vinyl's expensive.
It is.
And I'm sure that everyone listening already knows that, but it's expensive to purchase because it's expensive to manufacture.
Mm-hmm.
And so another part about, like, you got to be ready to invest in that if you're going to go that route, because also there's going to be minimums that can be kind of high.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to be able to just try, a run of 10 or 20 and see. Like, they're not going to print your order unless you have 50 or 100 made.
Yeah.
In which case, it's going to cost you thousands of dollars. Yeah. Now, like I said, people are used to paying a little bit more for a vinyl, so you can make your money back, I would say.
Yeah.
You might be able to find a company that does a good job that you can print them for $30 a piece and sell them for $40 or $45. And that's not bad.
No.
That's decent margin right there. So something to consider when you're thinking about how to put your music out there is it's going to be an investment if you want to do vinyl.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So we've talked about kind of like the historical ways and how you can still do some of those. So what do we do now? The
Yeah.
year is 2025.
Right.
If people aren't really looking to CDs, tapes, vinyl, whatever, to primarily listen to their music anymore, I think we all know the answer.
Yeah.
The big S.
Yeah. Streaming.
Streaming here.
Mhm.
Streaming. So,
Yeah. Probably how you're listening to this podcast right
yep,
now.
you're probably listening to this podcast
On a streaming
on a streaming
service.
service. And so what do we do? What do we do
Yeah.
with the streaming thing? How do we approach this as artists, as engineers? What
Yeah.
do we do?
So it seems kind of daunting on the surface, and I know a lot of artists that I work with that are either just getting started, or maybe it's been a while since they put music out. They're a little overwhelmed with the options, right? Because there are a lot of distribution options out there and streaming services and all that, but really, the distribution companies make it pretty easy.
They do.
It's not that bad. It seems like a lot because you're like, oh, well, I want my music on Spotify. I want it on Apple Music. Be cool if it was on Pandora too. And then, like, I don't know, maybe, there's some other ones that you want to try to get onto. But most of the distribution companies, at least the ones that I would recommend, will do all of those things for you at the same time.
Right.
So you don't have to worry about it. The top ones that come to mind that I usually recommend are DistroKid, CD Baby, and we can talk a little bit more about them because they're kind of special. And then there's TuneCore and Lander.
Yeah.
Those are like the top four, and we're probably leaving some out, and we don't know everything about this topic, just to preface, disclaimer here, because it's changing rapidly.
Yeah.
And there's lots of options out there, so we're just going to kind of give a guide and some recommendations to hopefully fast track and give you a little bit more information about it.
And before we get there, one thing that I do want to recommend, if you're a reader, and like we're not sponsored by, or anything by anybody, but though we're open, there's a book that's really, really good that helped me figure a lot of this stuff out. If you're a reader, I would recommend it to you. It's called Everything You Need to Know About the Music Industry. It's also referred to in our circles sometimes as the Music Industry Bible. And it is extensive. I think it was written in like collaboration with a studio, if I remember correctly, a studio owner and like a lawyer. And they're on like the 13th version of this thing, which speaks to how much the music industry is constantly changing.
Changing a lot.
But there's a whole section in that book that talks a lot about this if you're interested in continued study. But we're going to give you the synopsis. We'll give you kind of the overview of it here.
Absolutely.
So why don't we go ahead and just talk about, I know you and I are most familiar probably with CD Baby and DistroKid.
Yes.
And we can talk about the other ones too. I'm interested to know why you said CD Baby's kind of a special one. Let's just start there.
Yeah. The reason I said that is I think, I've been dealing with CD Baby, using CD Baby for way longer than any of the rest. It's an older company that has been around for a long time. They are the leader in CD manufacturing, right?
Right.
Which, hence why we've been using them a lot longer, because before streaming came out, CDs were the way. And that CD Baby got a foothold in that industry, and we're kind of like the one to go with for printing the physical CDs.
Yeah.
Now, because they're smart and good company, they've branched into streaming as well, and they're keeping up with the times, but they also do CDs. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, I would, if I'm recommending like a small run of 100, I would recommend CD Baby. And if you're going to get some CDs made, you could also just do all of your streaming distribution through them too, and then it's all in one shop. You have your one account and everything is there, and it makes it really easy for you.
Yeah.
So that's why I think they're a little special. Now, like, DistroKid is one of the new kids on the block.
That's right.
And they do a really good job with the distribution, and the way that they offer their cost models and the way that they charge for things, I think is preferable. Like it's not a very expensive service. You can pay for it monthly, but like a yearly subscription is very reasonable. And instead of like they give the most, to my knowledge, they give the most back to the artist. So when you sell or when someone streams, something, we're talking about pennies here on the streaming part of things, but let's talk about downloads. If someone downloads something and pays 99 cents for, they give you the majority of that back. They're not taking as much away from the progress that you're making and the people, your fans that are actually trying to support you. You get most of that. You just pay a flat service fee, which I think is the way to go.
Yeah.
Because they're doing they're doing a lot for you, so they deserve that. But I don't like when the artists don't get the majority of what they've created.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, agreed. That's good. Yeah. I would say just on my experience, I recommend both of them depending on the context of artists that I'm working with.
Okay.
And most of the time, this may surprise you, we may disagree here, I'm recommending CD Baby.
Mm-hmm.
Because of one primary reason, and that is DistroKid is subscription based.
Mm.
So and I've had this happen to an artist actually here in town that I worked with. He released a song through DistroKid, and it was all good. Everything was great. And then his subscription rolled over, and he didn't pay it, and the song is gone now, so no longer distributed. So that's something to think about.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not a fan of subscription stuff in general.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like subscription plugins. Waves.
Come on, get it together.
Come on, guys. And thank you, by the way, for going back on that, Waves, if you're listening.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that. I like to own my stuff.
Yep.
And so for me, that was a big deal. That was an eye-opener moment.
Yeah.
Because I was like, whoa, wait. Is that how that works? That's not cool.
Right.
So CD Baby, it's a one-time fee,
Right.
and you're done, and it's just distributed. And if you pay like their
pay as you go kind of.
Yeah, like there's and they have different tiers too. So like there's, at the time of this recording, I think it's like $9.99 just to get your song out there.
Yeah.
But you can do the full version, which I think is like $49.99 or something like that. And they collect all the royalties and stuff for you, which is beyond the scope of this episode. We'll probably do a whole music industry episode as well.
Yeah.
And we keep saying we'll probably do. We actually have a list of like
we
35 or 40 episodes that we know we're going to do.
Yeah.
So that's one of them.
Yeah.
But that's why I like CD Baby, is because, even though DistroKid gives more back to the artist, you're still having to continually pay them.
Okay. That's a good, devil's advocate on that one.
Yeah. So I like CD Baby.
Nice.
I think they're plain, they're simple, they're easy to use. DistroKid is too.
I do too. They're the top two. And I don't think you can, whether we agree or disagree on that, and there's subtle disagreements anyway,
Right.
You can't really go wrong with either one.
No, you can't.
Yeah.
Your music's going to get out there. It's going to get distributed across all of these platforms that we've named, and even more.
Either one will treat you right. And on that, I know for a fact that CD Baby's customer service is awesome.
Is it? I've never actually had to deal with them.
It's very good. I've had to deal with them a couple of times, and the artists that I work with have also had to contact them for various reasons. Some regarding like upload problems and file types or naming tracks and stuff like that. And maybe they were a little bit confused on the titling and stuff like that. And they're great. Like, I think, I don't want to, I don't know off the top of my head exactly, but their hours are pretty reasonable. Like, I want to say they're open from like 8 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Okay.
So it's a pretty long window. And it's not like you're going to call and sit on hold for a while. Someone's going to get to you almost immediately, and they can look at your profile from their end and see what you're having a problem with and either fix it for you on that end or just guide you straight through it.
Nice.
And they're nice. It's a great customer service.
That's a big deal.
It is.
Yeah.
Customer service is huge.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Another thing I'll say, though, in favor of DistroKid, is that if you're more interested in the social aspect of music and finding other artists to maybe collaborate with and things like that, DistroKid is basically a social media platform. So if that's something you're interested in, if you're interested in the collaboration side of things, DistroKid is is a great choice. CD Baby doesn't have any of that really going on.
Yeah.
They're simply offering a service. They do a great job at offering that service. But I think that's part of DistroKid's model is you're paying this subscription fee, but you're getting more than just a music release. You're getting access to similar-minded artists. There's collaboration potential, all of that.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so for some people, that's a really big deal.
Networking, back to episode 1.
Back to episode 1, networking.
Yeah, that's right.
It's everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so I mean that covers those two pretty well.
What about these other two?
Yeah, so TuneCore and Lander. I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about TuneCore, but I know that it's a popular one, and a lot of the artists that I work with have been using it. So I won't touch too much on it. I think it's pretty similar to DistroKid, excuse me.
Yeah.
But I do know something about Lander that I think is worth talking about. So Lander's similar, to the other three, but they offer, actually DistroKid does offer this too, but I don't think they advertise or tout it as much as Lander does. I want to call it automated, but it's basically a self one-button mastering service.
The mastering services.
And so you upload your song to Lander, which eventually, of course, will be distributed to Spotify and Apple Music and all of that at the end goal. But before you finish the process, they ask you, has your song been mastered, or would you like to have Lander master it? And you can just click a button and it listens to your song instantly and applies mastering processes to it. And I know DistroKid will give you options. Like it'll say, do you want it a little softer or harder? And then it'll apply whatever it needs to make that kind of happen that way. Or is it louder? So, eventually the loudness thing, we could talk a little bit about that because Spotify's going to end up ducking it down anyway.
Right.
So there's reasons to push it, but at a certain point, you're fighting against yourself. So, what do you think about that, John?
Ooh, what do I think about that?
The automated mastering services.
Yeah. Here's what I think about it. I think if you're in a pinch and you're on a super tight budget, that's what it's there for.
Yeah. It's included in DistroKid, I'm pretty sure.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, and Lander is probably that way too. Or if anything, it's not much more. So, yeah.
But that being said, you're not going to get a finished product that's anywhere close to an actual mastered song.
What it could be.
I have done a bunch of testing on several of these, including AI tools and whatnot. And here's what they're doing, okay, to my ears and to my eyes, because mastering you can tell a lot from looking at a mastered track. Here's what they're doing. They're taking your song. They're doing a quick analysis of it. The better ones are doing a quick analysis of it, and they're clipping off at a certain threshold. And then they're just throwing that sucker into a limiter to get it up to, minus 14 LUFS or whatever.
Right.
And they're done. And they're like, you're mastered.
Yep.
There's so much more that should happen.
Yeah.
There's so much more that should happen in the mastering process. And yeah, is it going to get it loud enough, your song? Totally.
Yeah.
Here's what I notice a lot of the time with those when I've A-B'd them. Your drums probably aren't going to sound punchy.
Right. You're going to flatten them out.
Yeah. They're going to sound like doo-doo.
Yeah.
And, and in addition to that, you're going to sound saturated, not in a good way. You're going to be a little bloated.
Yeah. It might sound thick, but it's going to sound muddy probably.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't want to just crap on that service. Obviously, I have a bias here, but I really have. I've run tracks that I know really well that I have mastered through about 4 or 5 of them at this point, just to see what they do and how they would respond, and that's what I get every time.
Yeah.
And so it just feels like a bummer to me to spend all this money already, first of all, to spend all this time and this effort to get this excellent finished product that you're really happy with this mix, and then just throw it at an algorithm,
Yeah.
and it makes it not
Right.
as good as it could be. So anyway, here's what I want to do. And this is a little shameless self-promotion here. If you're listening to this and you have never actually hired a mastering engineer, I want you to reach out to me. You can reach out through the Audiopath podcast Gmail, which is just audiopathpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right. Yeah.
And I want to master your first song for you for free. That's what I want to do. Because I want to show you how good it can be.
Yeah.
Because I'm super passionate about this. I think it's worth your time.
Yeah.
And just try it once.
Yeah.
So just say, hey, I heard this podcast. And I don't know how long I'll do this. I don't know how long this podcast is going to be up, but at least the first several of you, like, I would love to do this for you.
Do a handful. I mean, that's great value. Just so you guys know. I mean, you should try that. Whether you've had someone else master your song or not, it'll be eye opening either way. So hit John up about that.
Please.
I think that's a good idea.
People need good masters.
They do.
You need a good master.
They do, and then like the services, like we said, I don't want to knock them too much. They're very necessary, and I like them. I think they have a great place. But the mastering suite part, it's almost like maybe they can do a good job for some people, and maybe that's good enough and just fine. But it's like tripping before the finish line.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you really want to cross the finish line and have your, victory moment, right?
Yep.
Go with a real mastering engineer and let someone put their actual ears on the music.
Yeah.
Right?
And get it to feel right.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah. That's interesting. I don't think I knew that about Lander. I don't think I knew that they had that as an option. I may have to throw some stuff at them and see what it does.
See what they can do. I think I heard about Lander because of that service, and I don't know, I might be, not quite have all the information when I say this, but that they started out that way as an online mastering service, and I think it was like they were charging something for that, but it was an easy way to take your, to get your songs mastered quickly.
Yeah.
Like, gosh, you could get it from the mix engineer that day and master it and then send it off for distribution the same day. Yeah. Right. So that, in some scenarios, that probably works great for people. Yeah. So they started, I think, as this online mastering suite service that you could pay just a pretty reasonable amount for the service. And then I think they morphed into distribution as well. And they started taking it from, hey, you can master with us online at a very quick and affordable rate, and we'll distribute your music to Spotify and Apple Music and all that too. So that's how I kind of heard about them. And that's why they made the distribution list, I would say.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good stuff. Yeah. So those are, I guess, the big four.
Yeah. And then, that should be all you need. You should be able to pick from that. And, like we probably recommend CD Baby and DistroKid the most, and they won't steer you wrong.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Let's back up just a little bit on one thing that I think we kind of glossed over a smidge, and that is so you've got your actual track.
Yeah.
What all do you need in addition to the track to release your music? So do you need to, I don't know, you answer that question.
Sure.
What all do you need aside from your track?
Yeah. I don't know how far deep, this will probably end up being a separate thing, but like copyright would be something that you would do before the release distribution side of things. And what you're going to need from that, you pretty well have it at this point. So you've got your track, it's done, it's mixed, it's hopefully mastered by a great mastering engineer. And so you have your file, and then you'll need the lyrics to the songs. And I think they like to have like a chord chart if you can provide that. I don't know if it's totally necessary this day and age, but copyright that with the copyright office in DC, basically, which you can do online.
Yeah.
And it's not too expensive. It's like $30 for a collection,
Nice.
which is great. They changed the laws a couple years back. It used to be $30 a song.
Ooh.
So an album would, could be $300,
Cha-ching.
right? But now you can do a whole album for $30.
Nice.
So that's nice too.
What about artwork?
Yes. So you've got all that. Artwork, you might be able to submit that to the copyright too. But let's assume that you've got just your song. Artwork is very important.
Mm-hmm.
You want to have, even if you're just releasing a single, which I think we're going to get into like strategies and the types of releases in a minute, but having artwork to accompany your music can be very important and can really help someone be like, ooh, that looks cool. Click on it and then start listening, and then boom. Maybe you have a new fan just because they liked the cool artwork you had.
Because it looked cool.
Yeah. It works that way sometimes.
It does.
Yeah. So what do you think about that? Do you
Yeah. I think as far as getting that artwork,
Mhm.
there are a couple different ways you can do it. There's I know some artists who simply just go get a free account in Canva and they just make some artwork,
Yeah.
within Canva. And I think that's totally fine. If, you could always hire like an actual graphic designer if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's so many free options for making cool artwork now
You
that
can use a photo.
you could just use a photo.
Mhm.
I mean, there's all kinds of different options. The reality, though, is you have to have something.
Yes.
And so I would say it's twofold. One of them is you want it to be something that's kind of eye-catching, but also just don't overthink it.
Yeah.
It can be simple.
Yeah, don't get hung up. I know I have worked with a lot of artists that get hung up on the album artwork phase.
Yeah.
They have good intentions, and maybe they're trying to hire a local artist to create it, but their idea might be complex, and it takes a while for the sketch artist or painter or digital artist to create it, and it really delays their release. And then at the end of the day, however it is important, you can go too far with anything, right? So don't get hung up, I guess, right?
Yep. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So you've talked about this a little bit, but let's talk about, we got singles, we've got EPs,
Yeah.
we've got albums.
Yeah.
What are these? What are these things? When should we do each of them? Should people
Yes.
still be making albums today? I mean,
Great.
What are we? It's
we doing?
2025. What are we doing? Are we making albums?
Yeah, man. This is the best. This is what I think is the juice and the meat of this episode right here.
Yeah.
Is like what to actually put out there
Mhm.
and the strategy behind why you're doing it that way. So from my experience in 2024, 2023, 2025, the past couple years, is very few people are making full-length albums anymore. I usually do about 1 or 2 full-length albums a year now, which when I started doing this in 2010-ish, it was mostly that. And I was, doing 6 or 7 full-length albums, if possible, during that time frame, in a year or so. And now it's way dialed back.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's years where I think I may have gone the whole year without doing a full-length album. Meaning, so what am I doing? Well, instead of full-length albums, artists are doing EPs and singles. So instead of me working with the same band for a couple months, I'm working with a lot of different artists on smaller projects, basically. And so now why is it that way? Like, what changed? Well, I think social media had a lot to do with it. I think people's attention spans have been shrinking a lot over the years, and social media and this like fast form content has basically pushed it in that direction. At least that's kind of the way that I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
And that means like you need to have something to put out there more often to stay relevant.
Yep.
If there are some exceptions, of course, like with most things, if you don't already have a strong following, like, you're going to see Eminem, Beyonce, Jay-Z, Maroon 5, 311 put out albums.
Yeah.
And maybe just one a year, but that's no problem for them, and people are going to jump on that jam and they'll ride that album and listen to it for a long time. But if you're trying to gain traction as, a new up-and-coming artist, it might be a better strategy to, instead of doing a full-length album, just releasing singles more frequently to stay top of mind and in front of people's faces or on the algorithm.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Great point.
Yeah. So what do you think? Do you kind of see it similarly?
I really do, man.
Yeah.
I really do. And I'm torn on it, though. I'll
Yeah.
say that as a musician and as an engineer, I love the album experience.
Me too.
Not just making it, but the whole process of listening to it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons that we talked about this earlier. I really like vinyl is because you're locked into the album.
Yeah.
You're dropping the needle on the start.
Yeah.
You get a little break when you flip sides.
Right.
Let alone if it's a double LP. But
Right.
like, you're listening to the whole album, and you're able to, in an album, tell a whole story with your songs.
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing. But as far as cultural relevance goes, I mean, there aren't a lot of people who are giving that amount of time or dedication to music. Music has shifted in a lot of ways, I think, even with the advent of recording, from a long form story mechanism to a short form story mechanism.
Yeah.
And think about it this way. Where are, you as the listener, where are you mostly listening to music? I'm willing to bet probably in your car, driving down the road, or while you're doing something else, and I guess maybe this is a little bit of a challenge. Like, when was the last time you just put some headphones on and just listened straight through an album for the sake of listening to an album?
Yeah, I feel like those days, I know they're not lost on everyone, and I know there's people out there that do it, and, I'm one of those people, but it doesn't happen as often.
No.
And I think that was one of the beauties of CDs, and like you said, vinyl is like, you have a CD, you have your disc changer, and they did make CD players that had multiple discs in them, and you could just press a button and skip to the next one. But that took, some time and some break and some disconnect, right? It didn't just, it wasn't like a Spotify playlist where the song just flowed right into the next song, and it was a different band.
Yeah.
You popped in the CD and you were locked into that CD and that band until it was done. Or if you just got tired of listening to it, then you pop in a new one. But you had to make an effort to do that. And that effort has been removed.
Yep.
And I think that's part of the reason why people are just putting out shorter forms, singles. They're hoping that they can just be plopped on one of those playlists. They know that their whole album is not going to hit that playlist in order. A single might hit that thing. Maybe a couple songs, but in order, what are the chances of that?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
and to that end, if I may, it has never been more important to hire a good mastering engineer for this same reason.
There we go.
Here we go. Because you are now, if you're releasing singles, you're going to be put on a playlist with a bunch of other bands and random people. And if you don't sound similar, if your finished product doesn't sound similar to those in terms of, yes, loudness, but also in terms of like, general sonic frequency, like spectrum and all of that, your song is not going to sound right on a playlist.
Right.
It
probably won't make the playlist.
Probably won't make the playlist because it doesn't sound like the rest of the songs.
Exactly.
And that's really important. That's how people get, like when I'm mastering a lot of tracks, in addition to the references I've been given by a client, I also will pull in other stuff from playlists that I'm like, can this live on the same playlist with these other songs?
Right. If this thing popped in, would anybody turn ahead, or would they just keep jamming along?
Flowing
with
it? And that's what you want. You want people to just keep vibing along.
Yep. and hopefully they're like, ooh, and then they look and see what it is if they hadn't heard it before.
Yep.
And then that's how, you start to make some more super fans where
Yep.
they go find your page and they start listening to everything you got.
Playlists. Yeah. To that end,
Yeah.
let's talk about how to get on some playlists, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
No doubt.
Right?
No
Easier
doubt.
said than done. And I want to say, like, I remember a couple years ago when playlists kind of were newer to the platforms, and that was like really hot. Like if you could get your song on a popular playlist or, any playlist with other artists that were bigger than yours, then you were on the way.
You were making it.
You were making it, yeah. And I think that's still true now.
I do too.
But, how to get there is easier said than done.
Right.
So do you want to tell people a little bit about
Yeah,
that?
there's no easy way to do it. But this is where you have to market yourself, just like somebody who was trying to get on the radio back when vinyl was king was trying to get on the radio. This is where you have to do the dirty work, the homework, so to speak. And you got to be, up on Spotify. You need to be finding the people who make these playlists. You need to try to find them on social media, reach out to them, do some quote unquote cold calling. Just be like, hey, I'm an artist. I noticed that you curate this playlist. Would love for you to listen to this song. And if it fits, I'd love to, to have it on the playlist. There are some services that you pay to do this for you.
Yeah.
But we're talking really not about all that. We're talking about independently doing this.
Right.
And, I have several playlists that have accumulated a pretty decent sized following on some streaming platforms at this point. And so I've had artists to do this for me. Reach out to me and say, hey, one of them is a worship playlist that I do because I work in those circles a lot, CCM. And I've had artists that reach out and say, hey, I would love for you to consider putting this song on this playlist, give it a listen. And it's one of my favorite things ever because I'm like, I also live in your world. Like, I understand what you're doing right now. And it's a joy for me when people do that because I'm like, this is great. And if it fits, you're absolutely going on the playlist. I've had one or two where it's like, I don't think it's going to fit. And, you need to be okay with that too. Like, you need to be prepared for that. And it's all right.
So John's the gatekeeper.
Not the gatekeeper. Not at all. But
just for certain playlists.
And they don't even have like that big of a following. But
well, you never know. Yeah,
you never know. But you just got to reach out. You got to ask people, even your friends, ask your friends to put your song that just came out on a playlist.
Right.
I think it's easy to feel like, oh, I did all this work, in this recording and mixing and mastering phase, and I finally did all this work to get it released. And now you're telling me I have to do more work.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, it's
potentially the most work.
Yes.
Could be.
Yeah. But you gotta humble yourself a little bit and don't just do the broadband thing of just like, my song is out on social media.
Yeah. New song coming out on Friday.
Nobody cares.
No one cares about that.
I hate to say it, man.
Dropping another one. Like, man, what can you do, right? It's a tough thing. Like, I don't want to say that it's not worth doing that, but I don't think that's what gains the most traction.
No.
I think that might be a tiny slice of the pie that's maybe like the necessary evil that you might grab some people with those type of things, but the Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and whether you're putting any money behind it or not, if you're not putting any money, then probably no one is seeing it, or not very many people.
Right.
And the people that are seeing it are the same people that always see it.
Right.
You get the, 30 to 50, maybe 100 likes of the same group of people.
Right.
Now, if you put a little money behind it, just part of your could be part of your marketing budget, then it might get a little farther out there.
Mm-hmm.
But even that, like you said, no one cares.
Yeah.
Which is sad.
I
mean, some people do care. We're not trying to be too harsh, but we've seen it time and time again, and it's just not the best strategy. I think what could be a good strategy is word of mouth is very powerful.
It sure is.
And when you're out there playing and you're gigging, talk about your new song that's just been released or is about to be released. ask people if they could pre-save it on Spotify or
Yeah.
something. That will boost the algorithm for everyone else as
Yeah.
well.
Mhm.
So those are like little, guerrilla tactics that you can do
Yes.
to try to, it's almost like, gosh, I can't even remember the saying, but like fans are one at a time.
Yep.
Kind of thing.
They are.
Yeah. And that's kind of what it comes down to.
It
So
does.
let's take a quick second and talk about strategy. We kind of just briefly brushed over here and there and jumped around a little bit, but like, what should you do? So if you're not making albums anymore, or maybe you are, but if you're taking the EP or single approach, what is a good way to get it out there? Like, we know we got our distribution figured out. Like, you can go in and you can set what date you want it to come out on, such and so forth. Now, there's ways. The most popular strategy that I'm seeing these days is what they call the waterfall method.
Okay.
And so what that means is it's like a constant stream, like the water coming off a waterfall, right? But your songs are spread out, maybe weekly. Could probably run out quickly if you do it weekly, but maybe monthly is a good strategy that I've seen people do. And so you basically record a full-length record worth of songs. So maybe you've got 10 or 12. Let's just say you got 12. You can do one song a month for a whole year. And that way you're constantly, every month you're releasing a new song. And then by the end of the year, the whole album comes out on Spotify.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great method, a great approach. I think we probably can't move on without addressing, and y'all don't hate me for this, like TikTok.
Oh yeah, that's important. It's in there.
And additional content from your music.
Yeah.
So I know it can be really difficult, and I'm saying that as somebody who has struggled with this myself. When you're in the moment, when you're recording things or whatever you're doing, where you're not capturing content as well.
Yeah.
I know you and I have talked about this offline.
Yeah. You forget to stop and take a picture or take a little video.
Right.
Totally.
Yeah. But that behind the scenes stuff is what keeps people engaged.
Yeah.
There's the opposite side of it. If that's all you ever post and all you ever do, then you're not really doing anything.
Right.
But if you are releasing music, and then in addition to that music release, you're showing, hey, this was the day that I was recording guitars, and stuff like that. That's really what I've seen works as far as keeping people engaged. TikTok was a great tool for that, probably still is.
Yeah.
I'm not that engaged on TikTok, but
right.
yeah, like that's unfortunately in some ways kind of the way that the music industry works now.
It is. And that's it's odd, that it's kind of gone in that direction. Well, I guess it feels that way from our perspective because we're a
old,
little
man.
older, but wiser, maybe.
some sage wisdom.
Sage wisdom in these. But no, I mean we've seen the evolution from no internet at all to now, and it's like TikTok and platforms like that. Like, for example, I've got there's the band that I'm working with is a younger band, and they're out on TikTok, and I'm like, how do you guys get your music out there? And do you guys use TikTok? They're like, yeah, we do. And this is a weird strategy, but we've been trying to post videos of us playing covers of popular songs, and then see if we can gain some followers and attention that way in hopes that people will find our original music. And it's working. And it's not bad. And they'll try to add a twist of some sort of funny way that they can grab the audience in the TikTok video really quickly. And then hope that they follow them and actually go after their original music. And they're gaining a lot of views and a lot of following on TikTok. I don't know if they've 100% seen the translation yet. It's probably hard to keep up with the metrics that way. But hey, I mean, even if a a small portion of that comes over and finds their music, that's what they want.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
that's good. That's organic marketing right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah, so they're they may not be, and they're not coming out like playing their song right out the gate. They're using a cover that's popular, which, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's getting people there.
Yep.
So,
I mean, they're not the first ones to employ that strategy.
No.
One of them that comes to mind is Lawrence.
mhm.
They were doing covers it seemed like they were doing covers for a while when they were first starting out. And
Yeah.
now, their original music is what they're primarily known for.
Yeah.
It's funny. The one that sticks out to me the most is they did a cover of the Cantina Band from Star Wars.
Oh,
Do you know
I
what I'm
love
talking
that.
about?
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever. Yeah. And it like exploded
Yeah.
because it was fun. It was different. It was something that's like not, you don't see that every day or
Right.
whatever. I mean, they were already pretty popular by the time that came out, but it spoke kind of back to how they gained a lot of following is by doing these covers,
Yeah.
which I think is cool.
Yeah. I mean, whatever you got to do at some point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Those type of things help. Yeah. So, just to kind of sum it all up and roll things back, things have changed a lot over the years. The different mediums that music is being released is constantly evolving. I think we're in 2025. We're in the streaming era, and we'll probably be in this era for a while. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
And who knows where it'll go from here? But yeah, I feel like DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, Lander. Those are good distribution channels that you can get your music out there with. As far as a way or a strategy behind it, the waterfall method that I mentioned is not bad. Basically, taking a full-length record's worth of songs, 10 or 12, and releasing them once a month as singles, and then the whole album coming out as a whole at the end of the process can be a good strategy to keep your audience engaged. Because if you're constantly putting it out, then they have something to look forward to, and you don't just fall to the wayside and are forgotten. I mean, a year's a long time, so if you're putting one record out a year, it better be an awesome record, or else they're gonna
better be the
probably
best
move
record
on.
ever.
Yeah, they're gonna move on. But if you're putting out one song a month, you can kind of keep them listening to you all year long, right?
True that.
So, yeah, I think that's a good place to kind of wrap things up today. And, we'll probably touch on this topic here and there again in the future, but good ways to kind of get your music out in 2025.
Totally.
Yeah.
So let's just finish up with what are you working on?
Yeah. Also working with a couple of songwriters, a guy named Timmy Sherrill in town. We're doing a full-length record. He's got 11 songs, but he's doing a stripped-down kind of acoustic thing. So it's just acoustic guitar and vocal. He does do some on electric guitar, but there's no drums or bass or keys or anything like that. It's very stripped down, kind of how you would see him perform it live.
That's cool.
Is kind of the way he wanted to present it. It's a good album. He's a really good lyricist. That was what kind of drew me to him whenever he contacted me. I was like, oh, I like these lyrics. They're clever.
Yeah.
He's got some deep thought into them and some hard topics to talk and sing about, but the way he presents it is very relatable and the lyrics are really good. So he's
awesome.
Good songwriter.
I love a good lyricist, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, John?
Let's see, what am I working on? I just came off of a 4-day shoot in Pennsylvania, so that was a video thing, which is cool. But this week I have stacked up pretty heavy on working some installation jobs. So, and those are actually, they're all local, which is great because I can actually do them back to back. So, and they're all at churches too. So one of them needed some upgrades to their wireless in-ear monitoring systems. So putting in 4 more of those and setting them up to run Ableton live on their stage and things like that. Then the other one is basically they really need a PA upgrade.
Mm.
So I'm just kind of limping them along. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I've made it clear what they need to do at this point, but they're not quite ready.
That's a big investment.
Yeah. So basically just going in there and just tuning their PA and just getting it as close as possible.
Nice.
And then the last one is a job. Actually, I guess I call it in town, but it's like 2 hours north of Wilmington in New Bern. And it's working with another church, just helping them get their live stream audio set up correctly and
Cool.
training them up a little bit. So
There you go.
yeah,
Awesome.
side quests, man.
That's it.
I'm always on the side quests.
John's out there, taking
Yeah.
different directions every which way.
That's me, man.
Yeah,
I
that's
got a lot of
good.
interests and yeah,
Hit the road.
hitting the road.
Cool.
Cool.
Well, I think that kind of wraps it up for episode 3, part 2.
Yes, that was episode 3
of this series, talking about releasing music and the process during and after of your music journey in 2025.
That's right.
Yep.
And you guys, thank you so much for listening. Really, we are loving doing this.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're enjoying and getting a lot out of our conversations that we're having together.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've got a lot of other episodes picked out, so we're just going to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And do us a favor, if you're enjoying what we're talking about, hit the like button, subscribe, leave us a comment. We want to talk to you. We just want this to be a community thing, and we know there's a lot of people out there in our industry that hopefully can relate, and we want to hear from you.
Totally do.
Yeah.
Drop a comment.
That's right.
Love
Oh,
to see
and John's mastering offer is out there.
It is
so
out there. It is out there. Here's what I'm going to do. Let's do the first 5.
There you go.
I'll do the first 5.
First 5.
Yeah. So
Sounds
if you've
good.
got a mix and you want me to master it, reach on out.
Yeah.
We'll get her done.
Sounds good.
Great.
All right.
Until next time,
steady the path.
steady the path.